Hey there guys, welcome to the next video here on Duct Tape Stuff. We're going to be looking at how to store duct tape in this video today. And one of the requests I get on the channel a lot is people asking me how I store my tape and how I use it, how it's stored on my station, how it's stored around the house. So that's what we're going to be going over in this video. We're going to look at a whole bunch of different ways of kind of advantages and disadvantages of storing in different places and how you can probably find the best way to store it at your house. So let's get started here on the video. So let's start here at the fabled workstation. Now up until recently, since I started getting back into videos very recently, this whole workstation was very cluttered, but now I have it kind of set up exactly like it was back in 2008 when I first started making things out of duct tape on the channel. So the basic setup is I have a whole bunch of rolls just lined up right here on the workstation. You can fit about 60 rolls depending on how big your workstation is. That's about how many are here. The great advantage of this is that you can always take whatever you want, roll it towards the station, work on it, and then roll it right back. What I typically do is keep at least one roll of each kind of solid color and then a few of the prints here, and then as soon as I'm done with it, if I kill a roll, I just throw it out and I replace it with a new one from storage. Some of the disadvantages of doing it this way is that the ones you don't use very often can definitely get dusty, especially the ones in the back, or if you have multiples of each ones here, but some of them are wrapped up so that'll keep the dust out. Another disadvantage is if you have a pet like I do, then the chances of those rolls getting rolled around the house is pretty much guaranteed. Alright, so the next method I want to show you is kind of a method that a lot of people use on YouTube. I think I've seen about 10 to 12 people use this method over the years of storing duct tape in their houses, and that is the bookshelf method. Now, this one shelf here, depending on how big your shelves are, this one will hold about 60 rolls right about here, multiple rolls stacked up all the way to the back of the shelf. So it's about the same as the workstation for 60 rolls on just this one shelf. One of the advantages is that it is tucked away so the dust doesn't exactly get to it, especially if some of the rolls are open, because it's totally covered here. Some of the disadvantages is that it's very difficult to find where a specific roll is if you end up losing one, especially if you have the whole bookcase full of duct tape. So one of the best ways to get around that is a simple info card on every single shelf to detail exactly which rolls are in each one. And of course you would probably organize them by color or print or pattern or whatever, stuff like that. So it can be a great way of doing it, but like I said, if you don't have a bookshelf then you can't really do it this way. Let's move on to probably our most effective way of storing duct tape, and one of my personal favorites next. So now we'll wrap up with arguably probably the best way of storing your duct tape, and that is the giant storage containers. So allow me to put the camera down here and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Now this is where I store the majority of my tape, especially when it's in storage like this. One of these will hold 155 rolls, so that's definitely plenty to work with, and actually I think there's probably a little bit of extra room in there as they start to settle a little bit. If you do have the space to get one of these, I would definitely recommend it, especially if you have a lot of rolls, because it stores them really well, keeps them out of the elements like the dust and the water and everything. Any kind of stuff will prevent it from stuff like that. And you can get these at pretty much any local department store, any place that sells storage containers, and you can store a whole bunch like this. So like I said, 155 rolls in here. Great advantage of storing it that way. I can't really think of any disadvantages, maybe if you don't have the space, but that's definitely one of the best ways of storing things in one of these storage containers. Alright, so I thought I'd wrap up this video on kind of a brief segment on how to travel with duct tape. Now I get the feeling that not too many of you out there are going to be traveling, places with your duct tape, but like me, if I have to make videos, in other places where I'm on vacation or something like that, I definitely want to take some tape and some tools with me, and of course, all my camera equipment that I'm able to film videos and kind of work on things away from the workstation. So one of the best ways I like to travel with tape, and not only on vacation but just in various places if I'm putting on like a instructional show or something like that, is to use a bag just like this. I got this at the Duct Tape Festival, so it's actually kind of like a duct tape bag, quote unquote, but it has a whole bunch of pockets. It stores all my scissors, all of my hobby knives can go into one place, all of the regular scissors on here, so if I'm teaching people, they like to use their own stuff. Inside it can probably hold at least 10 or 12 rolls easy, plus a whole bunch of other pockets to put like hair clips or hair bows or whatever you're working on, duct tape rings, some instructional material. So that's one of the best ways you can take stuff with you and kind of travel with the with duct tape and your various tools. To find a bag kind of similar to this, and then just take it around with you wherever you're going. Another thing I want to show you is when you're working with duct tape away from your station. Now I showed this in a video probably about a couple years ago, I think. I got this at like a local dollar store. It's like one of those giant carabiners. And when I'm working with different projects away from the station, one of the things I like to do is clip this onto one of my belt loops, and then I just put a couple rolls. I think it only fits about 2 rolls comfortably. And I can just clip that to my belt loop, and then I can work with duct tape away from the station. That usually works for big projects, like when I was working on a duct tape dress and a duct tape tuxedo coat. I had to work with the dress form and everything upstairs in my living room, so I had to work away from all this stuff, so I was able to clip that onto my belt and work with it from there. And you can also pull off the tape while it's on the carabiner, which is pretty awesome. So you can kind of just roll it off, have a pair of scissors with you, and then you just snip it right off and go from there. So that's kind of a cool way of just traveling away from your workstation, but maybe not too far that you would need a whole bag and everything like that. So I hope you guys liked this video on how to store duct tape and some ideas with traveling and kind of carrying it around the house. There'll be more videos and tutorials coming soon, so hope you guys like that I'm back and making videos again. I'm really happy about it, and I'll catch you next time on the channel pretty soon. Take care.